COVID lists, COVID protocol, and COVID isolation. Ever since March, this elongated COVID season has changed the way we play and watch sports.
We know a lot about how the pandemic has affected professional sports, but that's really just a small fraction of those who compete. Today, we will look at the many changes COVID-19 has had on sports at every level, middle school, high school, and college. In this half-hour special, Our New Normal, Athletes Cutting Through COVID. Hi, I'm Nick Neisted.
And I'm Adam Whittakin. Welcome to our special called Our New Normal, Athletes Cutting Through COVID. Coming up, we got a packed show. Our team has been working hard on bringing you different people's perspectives on how COVID-19 has affected the world of sports.
First, we'll bring you close to home in North Philly, where we will take a look at how budget cuts have affected LaSalle's baseball program and athletic programs in general. Next, we'll take a step back from D1 and focus on how the pandemic has impacted everyday students using Temple's campus recreational facilities. After that, we're taking you back to high school sports and how some of the top athletes in the Lehigh Valley are still trying to get the attention of college coaches, even in this pandemic. And to finish up the half hour, a story on a youth flag football program right here in the Philadelphia area, where parents are trying to keep their kids active, but also safe.
It's been a struggle in just about every area of society, making ends meet in a COVID world. And higher education is absolutely no exception. With universities all across the country cutting their budgets, schools are making a lot of cuts. And some of these cuts are aimed at the athletic programs. From the west coast of Stanford to the east coast of George Washington, there is just some tough decisions being made that are ending sports programs being cut altogether. As of November, 90 Division I programs have been cut from about 26 different schools, 11 of those coming from Stanford alone. All in all, with more than 1,500 athletes being affected, with tennis being the worst hit. Most schools are honoring scholarships, but it still leaves student athletes with no place to be an actual athlete.
Locally, no school is taking a bigger hit than LaSalle. Our very own Paige DeFebo on the current situation at LaSalle's D1 program, taking a deep dive into the recent budget cuts that have affected the baseball team. Hi, Paige.
Thanks, Nick. As a result of COVID and budget cuts, there are programs across the country cutting sports. You mentioned Stanford, where it's losing men's volleyball, field hockey, men's and women's fencing, synchronized swimming, wrestling, and more over the summer. And more locally, LaSalle recently decided to cut 7 programs, including swimming, volleyball, tennis, water polo, softball, and baseball. The average Division I university fields 18 athletic teams. With these cuts, LaSalle will now be more in line with the national average, as the Explorers will have 19 teams in all. The program cuts will take place at the end of the school year, but for baseball in particular, the fight to stay on the diamond isn't over just yet.
I see this text and it says LaSalle announces they're cutting baseball and 6 other programs. And my first thought was like, wow, it literally felt like somebody close to me died. The second thought I had was, what are we going to do? And, as soon as that crept into my mind, that's when we scheduled a town hall.
And I was walking out the door and the baseball coach called me. And he kind of told me what was going on. And I'm like, Al had been contemplating doing something such as this for the last 12 to 15 months, but they said not a word to anyone. But it was all very, very sudden. No one at all saw it coming.
We want to make sure not just baseball improves and comes back, but we want to actually help the school as a whole and really try to bring back as many programs as possible. So for us, at first it was getting publicity for the campaign and making people care about LaSalle baseball, understand why we're doing this, why it means so much to us. And we were successful with that. Social media has been our best friend during all this. And we just put out a call for a town hall with many people that didn't even have to be alumni, just people that cared about LaSalle baseball or baseball or college sports as a whole, to join and really just create a think tank and get some ideas out there to make this campaign happen.
The parents have been just more supportive of everyone to try to keep everybody kind of together, not to pop off, not to say anything stupid.
The one thing I always like to make sure I say is that we understand why LaSalle did this. And I think there's a lot of issues in small private institutions and college sports in general right now.
At the end of the day, what's needed is money. There's a lot of sources of funding that the university either didn't find, didn't look for, whatever the reason, they did not know that it existed. The alumni have come up with a lot of ideas here.
We have a pretty good package to bring to the school. It's definitely unique in an attempt to save a program like this. But I think that, again, because we do care so much about the school and not just the program, I think it's really mutually beneficial to all involved.
I could sit here and I could say some negative things and point fingers, but we don't want to do that.
We're just trying to make sure that these guys don't have to worry about leaving what their home is and their family at LaSalle.
And I think now there's kind of a bit of a chip on their shoulder that, they're going to stay. If the program's leaving, they'll go out on a good note. If the program is staying, this is what you would have cut.
While the alumni wait to hear if their presentation brought to the school will be successful in saving the baseball program, LaSalle baseball players are preparing for their upcoming spring season, which may be their last. I'm Paige DeFebo. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Paige. At 1900 Olney Avenue, LaSalle University is experiencing the challenges that COVID has brought to the Philadelphia area. But this is not just current and former student athletes feeling the pain of these budget decisions. Ed LaFerge is an assistant director of athletics at LaSalle University. Part of his job is to help his athletes through the global pandemic by keeping them safe with new protocols that most athletes are following.
Yeah, I mean, COVID has really taken its own struggles on I think everybody in a day-to-day aspect. We have to worry about keeping ourselves and our student athletes safe, and so that is a priority every day. And so we have to be cognizant of doing things in a manner that we can make sure that everybody remains safe and socially distanced and masked and the whole nine yards. And it's changed the way we think about things. I mean, I'm in communication with a lot of the student athletes that I work with on a day-to-day basis. I see them at workouts on campus. Just before this, I just got off of a Zoom meeting with one of them. I was interviewing for our podcast. And then after, we did the interview, we sat and we talked for about an hour. And, I try to be there for my student athletes when I can. They have my phone number. They text me when they need things. And, I kind of love to serve in that mentee relationship with them when they need things.
Coming up, Weekend Warriors. Who are they really? Weekday warriors on college campuses across the country, including here at Temple.
Temple University's recreation department is trying to keep students busy and safe. Not an easy combination. But before we head to break, living life surrounded by COVID, here's our first part of COVID words. Our new normal, Athletes Cutting Through COVID, will be right back after this break.
Well, but at the end of the day, it's not, people aren't dying, people aren't living and dying because of sports. But I do think they are important in what we do as a country and as a world.
Sports going away at first was obviously concerning. I think sports are the great equalizer and really brings people together.
Sports give us something. Some of us more than others, the ones that participate more. But I know I felt a big void.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home.
I blew on him.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Tonight, along the Texas Gulf Coast utter devastation. Harvey barreled ashore overnight, packing 130-mile-an-hour winds, blinding sheets of rain, and the treacherous storm surge.
Harvey can't mess with Texas. So donate now to help make Texas whole again.
Welcome back. As you might expect, most of the attention on the college scene is aimed at these D1 athletes.
Temple, for example, has about 600 varsity athletes, but the school has thousands of students who play club sports, intramural sports, or just use the athletic facilities on their own. With all the isolation students are facing this semester, many have changed their habits and are trying to become more active even with the added restrictions.
I think there's definitely a fatigue to what we're going through right now. This pandemic is challenging for all of us. Like I said, I think all of us would like to get back to a more normal. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Being active is not just a student-athlete thing, but a student thing. On an average day, Temple University sees upwards of 3,000 students come to use its recreational facilities. But nothing is average thanks to COVID. Now, the rec facilities see more like 150 to 200 students per day.
Campus recreation over the entire summer worked to safely open the facilities. It's not to the extent of what we'd hope, like we normally would have open, but we do have reservation-based facilities open. The tennis courts, the outdoor Geezy turf, the first floor and second floor of the IBC Student Rec Center, as well as the third floor Pearson McGonigal rec courts. They're not open recreation courts for basketball and volleyball right now, but we've put fitness equipment in that location so that there's more availability with physical distancing to have additional equipment available. We also have the pool available by reservation.
Definitely more challenging. I'm fortunate my apartment complex has a gym in it, so I'm able to have easy access to that, but most other people don't.
It's definitely harder because I did end up finding a gym that I could use, but you have to schedule a certain time where you have to go and you only have like a certain amount of time to stay there and get your full workout in. So you have to like kind of cram.
Utilizing the campus facilities is easy. All you have to do is go to imleagues.com, log in with your student account. On the homepage, hit workout reservations. After that, you're going to pick, no times available today because they're closed and we're going to go to tomorrow. Pick the facility that you want to use. I'll say IBC first floor. Then there's one open spot on the dual adjustable cable station. Press sign up. Sign the release. Sign your name, your student ID, sign up, and you're good to go.
I mean, our goal is always to open it up more. We understand how important physical activity is for our students, not only physical health, but mental health. I would hope that we just continue to increase rather than stay the same or decrease. But again, that's not always our decision.
Because of the pandemic and with about 95% of Temple's classes online during the fall semester, it's easy to forget that the school's rec areas are open for business. Coming up in the second half of our show, we are taking a step back from the complexities of campus athletics and recreation at the collegiate level
and focusing on high school and youth athletics and how these athletics and leagues are navigating through this time of uncertainty. Our new normal, athletes cutting through COVID, will be right back. But first, here's some more COVID words and thoughts.
I like to go to the gym very frequently, and so when the gym shut down, I had to find a new way to work out and do different things.
We want to go to the gym at a certain time and then it's closed because they're doing an hour of cleaning, or I'm stressed about going because the people in my building give out fines pretty easily.
If you're one of the fortunate people to have an apartment complex that has a gym, it's good for you.
Being in that routine when you're in your regular life, I guess you could say. I guess sometimes it's hard to find motivation during COVID. You're just sitting at home all day.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Tonight, along the Texas Gulf Coast, utter devastation. Harvey barreled ashore overnight, packing 130-mile-an-hour winds, Blinding sheets of rain and the treacherous storm surge.
Harvey can't mess with Texas. So donate now to help make Texas whole again.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert.
Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Welcome back to Our New Normal, Athletes Cutting Through COVID. In this segment, our team is diving into a changing landscape for high school athletes, hoping to play in college.
Only about 7% of high school athletes actually play in college, 2% at the D1 level, so it's hard enough to get there without the added complications of COVID. Students all over the country are finding ways to navigate under this new normal. We spoke with senior athletes from Easton High School area who are looking to play at the collegiate level and asked how COVID is affecting their recruiting process. Here's our very own Kelsey Bussett with more on the subject.
Easton senior Lainey Stem knows full well the challenges COVID has thrown at top high school student athletes. She was recruited by the University of Delaware and was ready to go, but a hip injury changed that timeline. Not only did COVID push back her surgery date, but it also left Delaware nervous. That left Lainey searching for a new school.
Actually changed my recruiting process a lot because I became uncommitted again and had to recommit within the terms of 2 weeks for the NLI signing. So I was differently affected because it was a dead period, so I could only talk to coaches and get to know some of the schools that I had looked at previously just through the phone.
The NCAA put in place a dead period for safety. It's a time where coaches are unable to contact recruits face-to-face. This period started last spring but has been extended into the fall. Many college coaches are now relying on highlight reels submitted by student athletes. Recruitment is virtual for the class of 2021 across all sports. Senior Jaden Kelly shares his thoughts on the difficulties with virtual recruitment.
Some of the biggest challenges are, of course, not being able to stay overnight at colleges, and definitely going to visit colleges at first. It was kind of hard.
Winter and spring sports schedules are still being changed in order to comply with the growing number of COVID cases in Pennsylvania. These changes do not only affect the athletes. High school coaches are finding new ways of helping their athletes get noticed.
Every college coach is on the same level, is on the same playing field. It's not like saying, well, Division I coaches, they can go visit, but Division III can't. It's nothing like that at all.
Coaches are taking the challenges of COVID and turning them into positives for their players. The athletes needing to change their paths have found their new direction through the help of their coaches. But recruiting isn't the only concern. Paige Kane is a senior lacrosse player at Easton High School. Her biggest fear wasn't recruiting, but rather the future of her sport at Florida Tech.
They actually had to cut their football team because they couldn't afford it. So that caused some anxiety with committing because I wasn't sure if they would end up cutting the lacrosse program. But in the end, I decided it would be best to just commit to Florida Tech because everything else about the school was perfect.
COVID has thrown this generation a number of obstacles, but these strong student athletes have still been able to find their new home for the next 4 years. At Easton Area High School, I'm Kelsey Bussett.
Thanks, Kelsey. Now we're going to take a step back from high school and move to where it all begins, youth sports. This is a group mostly born after the year 2010. Not only does the pandemic have implications for their athletic futures, but also the future of their health and development. According to the Sports and Fitness Association industry, almost 72% of kids ages 6 to 12 played at least one sport in 2018, bicycling and baseball being the favorite physical activities of that demographic. Roughly 24% of them played a calorie-intensive sport, while 17% of the group studied got no physical activity.
With almost 1 in 5 children inactive before COVID, it's concerning what this number might look like right now. There is no telling to what extent it has impacted our children's health, not to mention the long-term ramifications that it might have on youth leagues in general. Here's our own Niall Cummins with a look at Pee Wee Football League inside Royersford, about 40 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
John Anufer's job description has changed drastically over the last 8 months.
As a youth football coach, his job used to focus on making sure the kids had gear, refs, and fields to play on. But now, he spends most of his trying to keep his 6th grade players as far away from COVID while still being on the field.
It's good. Number 2. Safety for the kids. A lot of the school or organizations that play in that league use school facilities. And when the schools were shut down, the facilities were closed. We keep the kids apart as much as possible. We limit the contact during practices more than I normally would.
As a result, most sport leagues are shut down completely. Springford Youth Football League is no exception. Springford Youth Athletics had to shut down back in mid-July due to the pandemic, leaving the upcoming generation uncertain about their future in football.
I researched a couple other leagues, signed up for 2 different leagues, and then finally made a decision to play weighted ball.
Springford wasn't the only league to shut down. Montgomery County has the 3rd highest rate of infection in Pennsylvania, but it's not only the players' safety. So much is about making ends meet from the pros to the kids. Just like the NFL might have to cut its salary cap, youth leagues also have to balance its books.
It was also financial decision. You know, if we would have waited any longer, we would have had to pay our full insurance premium, which roughly I think for a year cost $7,000 to $8,000. And if you didn't have a season, I mean, you would still need your insurance for the facilities and stuff like that, but that's a fraction of the cost.
The closure of these leagues challenged the coaches and administrators, but the impact on its players is hard to fully understand. For Tyler Schultz, it's new fields, new rules, and new challenges. He's a 6th grader now playing against 8th graders.
COVID obviously shut down my Springford Youth Football program. I had to change leagues. I've been playing with much older kids where they're much taller and older than me, so I didn't get much playing time.
There was already talk about Springford's future. Administrators are planning to get kids back and playing when it's safe, although no one really knows exactly when that'll be. Springford prides itself on its football league. Because of this support, it puts players like Tyler and coaches like John in a better position than others in nearby leagues, or even in leagues around the country. Reporting for Athletes Cutting Through COVID, I'm Niall Cummins.
Thank you so much, Niall. Now it's time for our last break.
When we come back, Adam and I will look ahead to where COVID will take us in the spring. But first, more from our interviews and their COVID words.
COVID has made me feel overwhelmed. It's been hard, adjusting to all the changes.
One word that I associate with COVID is just being sad or upset.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert.
Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to the final portion of our program.
We have discussed and learned a lot today, but what comes next? Despite the lockdown and new restrictions heading into the winter, there are still plans for college athletics this spring. The cross-country team is looking at a chilly season ahead with its first meet in as early as January 30th, which should take them until their final meet on March 6th. And as for the field hockey team, it is looking at a bit of a later start on February 12th and ending their season in late April.
Along with cross country and field hockey, men's and women's soccer will also be starting in early February and ending in late April. Volleyball will be the first fall sport to begin its reboot season on January 22nd, which means that the university will be watching its season closely and could determine the fate of other programs for the remainder of the school year. Thank you so much for joining us this past half hour. We hope you learned something and hope you are optimistic for the future of sports at every level.
Also, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to our team and producers who have helped put this show together. Without them, we would not be here, and that is a big for sure. Thank you for joining us here at Athletes Cutting Through COVID. We're going to leave you with some more COVID words. I'm Adam Whittakind.
I'm Nick Neistat. Stay safe and have a good day.
Very disappointing.
It's been more of a learning experience and been different.
Vigilant. I think one word is all I need.
How is it different for you this season knowing that you didn't have that opportunity to play with the same team and win again?
Well, yeah, it was a little upsetting for me because I knew I was going to have to know a whole new group of kids, and I was close with all the kids on my team before.
Super precautious. I make sure I wash my hands all the time and sanitize my hands. I'm always wearing my mask. I keep my distance. I try not to go out in public if I don't need to.